Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing silence speaks louder than words, the secret to winning back your ex. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing silence speaks louder than words, the secret to winning back your ex. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you may have heard of people suggest that you need to go no contact. But how can being silent be better than talking to your ex? In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 reasons why silence speaks louder than words and is the secret to winning back your ex. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is saying nothing is better than saying something wrong. So if you've been dumped, you're going to be experiencing a very unstable mindset. When we've been dumped, when we're going through a breakup, we are not seeing things clearly. We are experiencing feelings very similar to a combination of grief and drug withdrawal. As you can see from what I've just said, that is a terrifying and confusing time. So there is a very real risk of saying something wrong, saying something that is going to decrease your chance of getting your ex back. Now look, there is no 100% guaranteed way to get your ex back. Nothing works 100% of the time, and nothing fails 100% of the time. But I believe that my advice and suggestions, based on years of research, will give you that best chance of success. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to increase your chance of success rather than reduce it. And one of the most important things to do at the beginning of your journey, once you've been broken up with, once you've been dumped, is to stabilize your mindset, because saying something wrong, like I said, is a very real risk. Saying something to decrease that chance, saying something which is going to push your ex further away rather than bring them towards you. And therefore, point number 1 in today's podcast is the crucial fact that saying nothing is better than saying something wrong. If you don't know what to say, then saying nothing at all is going to put you in a much better position. And by and large, in most instances, if you've been dumped, I believe that you should never contact your ex again unless they contact you first. Now that's just my version of the no contact rule, and there are many caveats to my version of the rule, many exceptions to my version of the rule, but that is the basic principle. Never contact your ex again unless they contact you first, if you're the dumpee. Because as I've been saying throughout point number 1, saying nothing is better than saying something wrong. And your position right now is a difficult one. You've just been dumped. Not only are you feeling confused, not only are you feeling terrible, but your ex, the dumper, is feeling a very low level of romantic emotional attraction for you. That is why they ended a relationship. You know, somebody only ends a relationship when the level of romantic emotional attraction hits the necessary low point. Now, when you two were in a relationship, when you were very much in love, when you were at your height of your romantic relationship, you were both feeling a very high level of romantic emotional attraction for one another. Now, you probably still feel a high level of attraction to your dumper. But what's interesting is it's probably actually inflated since the breakup took place. And that is because, unfortunately, for the human mindset, rejection breeds obsession. There is nothing more attractive than rejection. So however you felt towards your ex before the breakup took place, you now feel an even greater level of romantic emotional attraction. It's a very unfortunate part of a human experience that somebody can reject us in our own mind, and that makes us want them more, it makes us desire them more. And therefore you can see that you are in a risky position. You want them even more than you did before. I mean, maybe you were potentially going to consider dumping them. Sometimes the dumpee is only the dumpee by a matter of weeks or a couple of months, because if life had gone on beyond that point, beyond the actual breakup, maybe the dumpee would have become the dumper. You know, it happens more often than you may think. So you might have only become the dumpee because almost like they got in there first. And therefore what you can tell from this situation is that you shouldn't be putting your ex on a pedestal because you crave them right now. But if you really think back to the time of a breakup and a little bit before, you perhaps were not feeling as high a level of attraction as you do right now. But that is you. And right now we have to consider your ex, the dumper's position, and they're feeling a very low level of attraction. That is why they dumped you. And hence, that is why saying nothing is better than saying something wrong. Because saying something wrong right now could be hugely detrimental to trying to get your ex back. They're not feeling enough attraction for you now. They're feeling very little, if any at all. And hence you can't afford for them to lose any more. You can't afford to push them further away. You can't afford for them to feel even less for you in a romantic sense at this moment. So I would suggest point number 1, the reason why silence speaks louder than words, the secret to winning back your ex, is that saying nothing is better than saying something wrong. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about silence speaks louder than words, the secret to winning back your ex. And point number 2 is your ex can't miss you if you're in their life. You need your ex to think about you. You need your ex to wonder about you. You need your ex to miss you. And they can't miss you if you're always in their life. They can't miss you if you're texting them, if you're calling them, if you're knocking on their door, if you're waiting outside where they work. They can't miss you if you're around. And therefore, if you've been dumped, the breakup is finalised, the dust has settled, you need to concentrate on you and your journey, and you need to implement my version of the no contact rule. Now, I mentioned this a little earlier, and if you want to learn more about my version of the rule and why I believe it will give you that best chance of success, and it differs somewhat between other versions that you might find online, then please go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and check out the playlist entitled The No Contact Rule, because this will help you fully immerse yourself in my variety of the rule. So as I was saying, point number 2, your ex can't miss you if you're in their life. You need to be implementing my version of no contact as soon as the dust has settled. And as you move forward in your journey, you will be growing the possibility of your ex starting to think about you. The triggers that will come into your ex's mind are the same triggers that come into yours. You're thinking of your ex for various reasons. Firstly, as I said earlier, because rejection breeds obsession. But also because you have likely already come across triggers. Triggers are things which come into our mind and make us think of our ex. But you need to realise that they will feel the same triggers. The same sounds, i.e. music, maybe makes you think of your ex. It will also make them think of you. Maybe you go to a certain location, it makes you think of your ex because you went there with them once, and they will have the same feeling if they go there. If they go there in the future, they will be thinking of you. So, if you implement my version of no contact, if you live your life to the full, if you concentrate on your journey, your ex will still be subjected to the triggers that you yourself are battling through. And if they can't contact you, they will start to wonder about you. And that is what is so precious about this whole situation, because you need to make yourself more valuable. You need to become the person that they miss. Now, things which are rare are generally valuable. That is why if you think of something such as a rare type of diamond or something, that is why we put value on it. It's valuable because it's rare. It doesn't have to be a diamond, it could be anything. If there is short supply, something goes up. Demand and supply, that's how it works. You need to make sure you are very rare in their life. And you do that by implementing my version of no contact, never contacting them again unless they contact you first. Unless, of course, there are, like I said, the caveats to my version of the rule, the exceptions to the rule, because there are some, but generally speaking, never contact them again unless they contact you first if you're the dumpee. Now, if you would want advice and support in your specific situation, if you want help moving through your breakup recovery and trying to increase the chance of getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique problem. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about silence speaks louder than words, the secret to winning back your ex. And point number 3 is actions are always loudest. So it doesn't matter what you say, It matters what you do. And that's why going into no contact can show commitment to a cause, strength of character, determination, and resilience. And all of these things might previously have been lacking from your character. Now, maybe not. Of course, I don't know your specific unique situation right now. But if you were to consider how your ex might perceive you, I would suggest they might imagine, at least rightly or wrongly, that you are lacking some of these positive character traits, what I've just said. People are often dumped for a combination of reasons. Maybe there is a main reason somebody loses romantic emotional attraction, but often there are other varying reasons. And complacency can often be within the mix. Maybe it's about not moving your life forward. Maybe, for instance, you and your ex, you were living in different houses, and your ex always wanted you to help them move forward into a position where you could live together. And for whatever reason, you never did this. Maybe you felt it wasn't right financially. Maybe you just didn't feel it was the right step for your relationship. Whatever it may be, maybe you didn't take that step to start the ball rolling about living together. And therefore, this could be a reason, for instance, why your ex started to think, look, they're not taking the relationship forward. I don't believe they've got determination. I don't believe they've got the character or the commitment to our relationship. And that is an example of where somebody might end a relationship and feel that their ex, the dumpee, was lacking some of the character traits that I mentioned at the beginning of point number 3. Now, if you implement my version of a no contact rule, you are loud and clear, showcasing by your actions those types of traits. And it can be something which is really powerful. It can be something really powerful to somebody who doesn't really believe you possess those abilities and traits. If somebody doesn't think you have determination, if somebody doesn't think you can move on your own path, live in your own life, doing your own thing, they're going to be really shocked if you don't contact them. They might be thinking, well, it's not going to be long before my ex reaches out to me because I know they can't really do anything without me. I know that I was the one leading the relationship and I didn't really want to. I wanted it something potentially to be a bit more equal. Maybe I wanted them to take the lead predominantly, but instead it was always me. Well, look, if your ex the dumpee, if you listen to his podcast, implement my version of no contact, if you don't do what they expect, which is to chase, which is to harass, which is to beg, which is to plead, if you don't do these things, then you're going to be showing yourself as somebody different to the person that they dumped. And it's really important that you do this. It's really important that you are not the person that they ended the relationship with. That person was version 1. You need to be version 2.0. The person you was, unfortunately, was not a good fit for that relationship. That is why your relationship ended. If you get your ex back, you will be in a brand new relationship, and hopefully this will be built on stronger foundations. You can't get your ex back if you are exactly the same. You need to improve, you need to grow, and showcasing actions are always going to be much better than saying what you're going to do. Actions speak louder than words. You could say to your ex, I'm sorry, I won't do this again, or I will do this from now on. But if you don't showcase this, how on earth can they believe you? Now, it doesn't always mean that you as a dumpee have done everything wrong. I'm not here to tell you that every single thing about you is wrong. There is a good chance that you have some fantastic character traits. There is a good chance that you are only partly to blame for the relationship ending, and your ex, the dumper, also needs to take responsibility. Like I said earlier, sometimes a dumpee could actually become the dumper if a relationship had gone on a little longer. You never know right now because this is the reality that we live in, but you can think back and probably think, you know what, I nearly dumped them. I can't believe they almost beat me to it, and now I feel terrible. So don't put yourself down, okay? It's important to take accountability. It's important to look in the mirror physically and metaphorically, but once you take accountability, you need to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for any mistakes. We're all human. I make mistakes. You've made mistakes. Your ex, the dumper, has also made mistakes. And when you feel ready, when you feel like you've taken that accountability, when you feel ready to proceed, that is when you must forgive yourself so you can start to move forward. Because if you do this, you are showing with your actions that you are a better person. You're showing with your actions that you are a person who is worthy of a relationship that unfortunately your ex-dumper didn't think you were before. Now, I'm not even saying that you're going to want your ex back by the time you have grown in the way I described, because often dumpees outgrow their dumpers. Often dumpees grow in a way that if and when their ex-dumper does reach out to them, they decline the offer. And that has to be the aim as a dumpee. You don't want to be the person who is begging for your ex. You want to be the person who is being begged yourself. And your ex-dumper may one day reach out to you. They may want to reconcile. They may want to try and sort things out. And you might think, no, I'm actually happy on my own path now. Thanks, but no thanks. And you might just see a power shift take place where your ex-dumper is starting to chase you. Maybe they don't beg and plead in an absolute obvious sense with the words, I'm begging you, I'm pleading you, but they may do it again with their actions. Again, actions speak louder than words. It doesn't matter what they say, see what they do. And if they begin to chase you, then you can tell that the tables really have turned. And that is why silence speaks louder than words. The secret to winning back your ex. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.